We're going to try this. We're going to try this for just a minute. So this is, I'm working on a song called They Just Want War, because they do. And someone has to call them the fuck out. And so I'm going to work on this song, and you're going to get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of me doing a heavy metal kind of, you know, I don't know. I wanted to kind of fit some dubstep kind of whomps into it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but I'm kind of angry, and I just want to yell into a microphone. And why not do it in a way that I can then put online and put them on display for wanting war? Because that's what they want. They just want war. They just want war! I'm gonna lay down kind of like a dummy track. So I've got my the Superior Drummer kind of started. I actually did a take of some guitar, but I think I didn't like the beat that it was giving. I didn't think it was enough. It's just kind of way too simple metal, and so I'm gonna try to put some funk to it a little bit. I don't know. We'll find out. But so I usually use Brown for the distorted bass in Reason. This is Reason, by the way. Love Reason. This is my DAW. I love it to death. This is basically Scaro. This is the what is this? What does Scaro stand for? SCARO, Synthetic Calibrated Articulated Robotic Orchestra. And that's basically, I think that's right. I think I can never, I change that acronym so much, but Scaro is basically the other side of repeater signal, which is my computer and Reason and whatever else I'm using in order to make this whole thing work, because I'm, a human, and I can only make so many sounds, and I don't know how to play drums well enough to actually make it into a song. I can hold a beat, and even then it's a little bit hard because my ADHD just doesn't allow me to do that. It's hard enough on guitar, man. But, I've been working with Reason since probably 2003. That was like Reason 3. Whatever Reason 3 came out. I pirated it. I played around with it, didn't do anything with it, but I loved it. And I like everything about it. And I went to go buy it. It was way too expensive at the time, so I just kind of put it to the side, because I was thinking oh man, I can actually do music with this thing, but I never did. And was this now 22 years later? I technically about 20 years later, because I've had Reason subscription for a while. Reason Plus came out. Subscription works. I can start it and stop it. When I was a little bit, I don't want to say cheaper, but poorer, really. I wasn't cheap. I was really kind of living beyond my means. I was poorer, and I didn't really have the ability to just kind of keep subscriptions going, because everything's a subscription nowadays. And I started it and stopped it a couple times. Now I've kind of kept it going, especially over the last year, where I've been really writing music and trying to do some production. And I'm not going to probably change. Everybody wants to do Ableton Live, and that's fine. If I was to go to a live setup, I probably would go to Ableton Live, learn it. DAWs are pretty much kind of ubiquitous. I learned Pro Tools back in the day. I was working on Cool Edit Pro back in the day. I've worked on Sonar. I've worked on Cubase. I've worked on pretty much most of them at some point in my life. What is that? Ardour, and then Ableton for a moment there, a long time ago. I got a decent computer, started buying software, and because I could actually afford it finally after the recession. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, I need to do something, and I started doing music. And so the Reason was what I went back to. Thank goodness I'm actually covering over the pop-ups that are happening, because my friends are playing on Steam. I need to get rid of Steam. Let's close Steam out. I'm going to probably use Reason until I'm done with music. Until Lander maybe, I don't know, maybe throws too much AI into it. There's no AI plugins that come with it just yet. We'll see how that goes. That's of course a future thing, right? Lander bought Reason, and we're seeing where that goes in terms of the future of Reason. The minute that they start putting in a bunch of really pushy generative AI, I'll probably jump ship, because that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to generate AI music. I'm trying to create music of my own, and I love their players. I love their effects. Their out of the box stuff. Their bassline generator and beat map, their chord sequencer, all of their players are just fucking phenomenal. If you don't know what I'm talking about because you're in Ableton and there's other names for all this crap, that's fine. But this stuff is probably the most intuitive, as well as the fact that the rack is actually, if I just bring this over, very, very intuitive. I can flip it and actually mess with the wires, which I am an old school live sound engineer. I've been doing music off and on throughout my life, and I started with having to wire live performances, and I actually studied sound engineering for a little while there. I'm trying to remember the name of the book, but it was basically how to build a studio, and like what the basics were of knowing how to route things, what your signal chain was, all that stuff. It was a long time ago. I was thinking about, hey, could I build a studio at some point? It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't in my cards. I was poor, man. But I did grow up around a studio. My uncle had a studio, and so like working with these these wires and trying to figure out, okay, so if I'm going in from here and out from here and visualizing, and it's just so much easier. I also love the fact that there's dials. This is my favorite thing about Reason. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, but they're just my favorite. But the dials are my favorite. The problem that I have with typing in values of decibels is that I don't actually know, nor do I give a shit about like specific levels of decibels. I've learned that, less is more, right? Less adjustment of levels actually gives you more range to play with. But I like just being able to kind of listen to something and make it sound correct. And as long as it sounds correct, I don't give a shit what the level is. Could be maxed out, could be completely dropped out. And as long as the level fits, then I don't care. And neither will the audience. It's a very kind of Rick Rubin kind of an approach there. Like if I'm gonna blow everybody's ears out, and that's what the whole point of the song was, great, whatever. That's my like little rant about the reason why I choose Reason over anything else. But I started with just a real quick vocal, just to see if I had the range. I put, by the way, really amazing new distortion that's in Reason, which is osmium. Osmium distortion, the matrix is just amazing because it has its own effects within the distortion, and it's within the distortion chain. And so you throw in, filters and reverb and all kinds of other stuff into this one thing, and it just does so much. It's an amazing tool. Threw that on the vocals because I needed some grunge, I needed some anger, and I figured let's go the distorted route so we can see where that goes in this song. So this is They Just Want War, and then I have Superior Drummer on the metal kit. I have a couple of starter kits that I bought. One of them was the metal kit, one of the metal kits, and so I've got just kind of this basic halftime metal beat. Something to start the whole thing. And I don't think that I'm going to keep this beat, who knows, but it's a good starting. It's just like a death march is what I wanted to start out with. And then we'll see where it goes from there in terms of, how I build out the song. I lost my pick. Hello, pick. Got my Fender extra heavy, my pick. I don't always play with a pick. I used to play with nothing but a pick because I didn't think that I was very dexterous with my fingers, but I got better. And my wife was happy with me. So I've got my Stingray, and this is kind of my workhorse. It has flats on it. It's actually hybrid flats. It's the ones that have kind of a little bit of a ridge to it, so I can still kind of, I can get the ridge if I've got the right pick. This is not the right pick, but the reason why I don't like rounds is because it's hard to maintain control. Right, and so, like I have my my Fender or my Squier Mustang bass, not a Fender Mustang. I do not have that money, but I've got my little Squier Mustang bass, the Mickey K or Mikey K or Mikey Way. I don't remember his name, but anyway, the bassist for My Chemical Romance. It's his signature bass, and I put a bunch of stickers on it. That has rounds on it. And it's buzzy as hell. I don't use it mainly because, at least for this kind of stuff, because it's not really. I need to work on the frets. The frets are buzzy. The frets are like not filed down. I think for the sake of most of the music I actually play, I need to get this thing actually in. I need it set up. I need to actually go down to 12th fret in Portland. Again, not sponsored, but they're amazing, and I think that they could probably do a setup on that thing. I've done enough of the setup to where it's probably as close to. I mean, it stays in tune now, finally, and it's not as buzzy as it used to be. I did a lot of work myself with it. I've got the kit. I've done setups before. I'm not a master at it though, and this thing just needs more work than more help than I have for it. So I've got these basses. My Stingray was kind of my go-to. I always loved Stingray bass guitars. I had a friend of mine down in Texas who let me play one for a gig, and fell in love with it. I was like, this has got to be the tone I want. I'll probably get a Stingray 5 at some point, so I have the fifth string on it. So I do need a 5-string, but I'm actually I want to save up for a Washburn. I am madly in love with Washburn guitars and basses, specifically basses. I used to play a Washburn fretless bass in high school when I could, because it was the studio bass, and it was so good. It was smooth like butter, like browned butter, like ghee. Do you know what ghee is? That's what that bass was. It was ghee. It was like refined butter. But I am going to get a Washburn acoustic guitar at some point, and then maybe, if I can afford it, a Washburn bass, because the ones I've found are in the thousands, and I just don't know that I have that much cash lying around. Maybe if you guys will actually follow me and like listen to my music and buy some of my albums, then I can afford this shit, and I'm not just this poor white dad trying to make somebody think a little bit more critically. Anyway. So this is my Stingray, and I've got an interesting setup. I've got like a K-line compressor. I've got the K-line wine cellar fuzz, which one of my favorite fuzzes, by the way. K-line in general is just great. But I've got the K-line fuzz as opposed to the Big Muff. I do have a Big Muff here somewhere. The Donner gate, which is probably the fastest gate that's out there. It is tiny. It is very cheap. It is amazing. I have other gates that are very slow and just don't do the job that this one does. I'm really happy with it. And then it actually goes through a Joyo monosynth. That thing is the EQ. So all that together through my bass or my pile little teeny mixer, which I'll get a better mixer at some point. That's on my wish list this year. I think I'm going to do that with some money I'm saving up. But I'm taking that through the mixer, and it just has this beef stroganoff sound to it. It's just great. And it's probably like you probably can't even hear me over it. It's so beefy. This is the bass I'm going to work with. This is the sound I'm going to work with, and I'm going to add that into this mix, and we're going to see where the bass line goes. What I'm going to start with in terms of the beginning of the song, which will then lead me into the rest of the song. When I do songwriting, I don't write on a piece of paper. I don't even do tab. Like, I write the song out, and then I have to go back and try to figure it out. I am such a bad musician. I can't read notes. I just can't. Like, I can figure it out. I could probably, like, if I read it long enough, I could say, okay, FACE, or, every good boy deserves fudge. I could do those little, like, weird things that we did back in guitar class, but I can't read especially can't write music. I mean, come on. You've got to have another language. You have to have another mind. I have a friend of mine who actually, knows how to do that. So I'd probably send her the recording and say, hey, can you write this crap out for me? Or I'd send her the tab. I can write tab. I cannot do notation. All right, so we're gonna try this. I'm gonna try this on the recording. I'm gonna leave the mic open. Usually I would probably close the mic off so I can do the recording very clean, but this is just a dummy track. I'm actually gonna do this. I've got these other tracks here. I'm gonna do an alt track on this one, which is nice and easy. There's an alt button right down here. And this is the alternative, so I can get kind of a guiding track, so I know kind of what the sound should sound like, and then I'll do the final recording on its own track. So no big deal there, but I do it in the brown because the bass lines make shit. They just want Well, I just realized I didn't actually set the in. So, interesting enough, I can't record both OBS and this shit. I'm so mad about that. Why can't I just do live recording of my work in Reason? I just don't understand. I don't know why it's that hard. Like, why can't Reason... The one thing that I will say about Reason is that it really needs to work on its input management. It needs to figure out a software way to get the inputs, the duplex inputs, to work, man. The fact that I can't record on like the ASIO driver, and maybe that's a Focusrite thing, because I got a little Focusrite 4i4, but like I need to be able to record like the audio that I like record the playback at the same time that I'm recording the music, so that I can kind of track what I'm doing in live, in a live session. And otherwise I have to like put a camera to it, and I have to record kind of behind me. There's no way to like do a live monitor. Maybe the monitor out. I don't know, man. My brain is starting to hurt. This is so frustrating. I just want to record me doing something live, and I can't. If you could figure it out, here's my challenge to you, and then I'm going to end this video because, man, that sucks. If you could tell me, I have a Focusrite 4i4. I'm trying to record some wonderful bass and my process of writing a metal song, and I want to show the process as it goes as I record, as opposed to like switching back and forth between recording and then not recording. I mean, I could probably just do that for right now, but like I want to be able to record live as I'm, I record live on OBS while I'm doing the recording in Reason, and I can't get those two to work. So if you've got a tutorial to show me, you let me know. And I will give you a shout out. I'll give you an engineering credit. If you can get this shit to work, I will give you an engineering credit. I will. On my next album, whatever I record live that I put on an album, I will give you an engineering credit. I promise you. Anyway, so do that, and then we'll have a good time later, I guess, because I'm going to stop this video because I'm pissed. See you later, guys.